That is a completely non-informative answer.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for talking to me, Darth. I appreciate it.
Do you have a rational explanation why all facts that you're acquainted with universally do not ultimately derive and depend upon God? Do you have such a rational case?
I think I've given sufficient answers, and
No,
you
you
don't
have
accept
not.
them,
Everyone
and
who's
that's
listening in
okay.
here,
You don't
everyone
have to.
who's
Are you
listening,
over talking
including
me now?
me. Yeah, no,
Are
I
you?
thought you stopped. Are you done? Are you
Stop
done?
over talking.
Okay. Are you done, James? Are you done, James?
If
I
I'm
guess
not
Yeah,
so.
talking, I
James.
am done. My mic is
Okay.
muted. I am done.
This is what we get. We either get the playing dumb routine, which James is going to get an Emmy award for, or they just become obnoxious and rude, okay? Or they just start lying through their teeth. This
Hey
is what
James.
atheists do.
Right.
Hey
So
James. I love
Please
you
give
either
the
us
way.
that
son.
evidence. Please give us that evidence that everything comes from what you call God. Please defend your worldview, sir.
Okay. Cool.
Can't do it.
So are you familiar with the law of
What was the question?
biogenesis?
What was your question, James?
I think that was
I didn't
Mo.
ask.
Mo.
I think
Well,
that was
the
somebody
evidence
James.
of
else.
God is everything.
I didn't ask that question.
That's a non-answer. That is
That was
Why?
God is
he.
Why?
everything is a
Mo.
non-answer.
Everything that exists.
I'll
Okay,
take
first,
it. I'll
okay,
take
when
it.
we read Romans 1, it says, ever since the beginning of the creation
The
of the world,
Bible is not an answer.
God's eternal powers, okay, God's eternal power. Well, do you want to defend that claim?
I'm waiting for you to defend your claim.
Do you want to
I'm
defend
waiting.
that claim you
I'm
just
waiting.
made? You
I don't
said the
hear an
Bible is
answer.
not a defense.
I don't
Why is
hear
an
an
appeal,
answer.
listen to me, why is an appeal to the
I'm not
Christian
hearing an answer here.
worldview? Why are you over talking me? Are you just here to troll? Now, did you or
No,
did
go
you
ahead.
not say that an appeal or quoting the Bible is not legitimate?
I'm not hearing an answer to the question of what's the evidence that
I'm giving
God.
you,
Are you over
okay, ever
talking me?
since the
Are you
Let him
beginning
over
of
finish,
talking me,
Mo.
creation of
sir?
the
Mo, let
Hold
world,
him
on.
God's
finish.
eternal powers have been clearly seen through everything that has been made. Okay? All facts are revelatory of God.
Right.
That's the claim, right?
Okay? Now, do you want to rebut that?
Well, no, I've heard your claim. I'm listening for the evidence and the logical
I
argumentation.
did give you the evidence. I said
No, you simply
everything that you're
repeated the
acquainted
claim.
with, every single individual fact, and in conjunction with other every fact, is revelatory and indicative of God. Otherwise, it could not be intelligibly construed as a fact. Okay? So
Okay,
I gave you a line of reasoning.
no,
If you don't accept it, you can just say I don't accept it, but that will be an implicit counterclaim, which you will have to unpack.
you're right. It would be an implicit counterclaim, but you're simply making a claim. You're not giving me the argumentation. So what I'm wanting to
You're just making a
why are
claim
you
that I
over
made a
talking
claim.
me?
I
Why
can
are you
play
over
that game
talking me?
too.
Sir, why are
I
you
can
over
play
talking
that
me, right?
game too.
Stop
I
over
can
talking
play
me.
that game too.
You do play that game. I'm waiting to hear the argument
I just did.
for your claim. No, you
I
didn't.
just did. I gave you the argument that
Nuh-uh. This is
everything.
what he
Hey,
does,
what?
everybody.
All right. Listen.
When
Listen. Hey,
having to defend
Matt,
his
Johnny,
own
would you
worldview,
please remove this
when
guy
he has
because
to defend his
obviously
own
he's
worldview,
trolling.
he can't.
Yeah,
No,
this
because you
guy has
can't.
another screen name here. Would you please remove
You
him?
can't. You can't defend your worldview, Darth.
I'm attempting
Right
to
here.
converse with you. Okay. Now, you just said that's just a claim. I could say that what you just said is just a claim. Did you defend that your assertion that it's what I'm just saying is just simply a claim? Did you defend that? I can play that game too.
Yeah, he
I
left.
gave you a line. I gave you a line of reasoning. You will either accept that line of reasoning as being indicative of God necessarily, or you will not accept it. Regardless of what comes out of your mouth, if what comes out of your mouth falls short of accepting the rationale that I gave, whatever does come out of your mouth is a counterclaim. When I can just say, well, that's just a claim. Can you defend your claim that what I'm saying is just an empty claim? Can you defend that?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if anyone here on stage has an argument against the God of the Bible. Maybe like J Styles? Anyone? That's why
maybe
we created the room.
James, and Haiti. I think.
Well, if you're going to talk about the Bible, I think that's a good argument because the Bible is written by human beings. It's not necessarily true. It's more than likely a fictional historical
How do you
book.
know it's not necessarily true?
Yeah, and we don't necessarily know it was written by human beings, right, James? We
No,
don't
James,
we
how
don't
do
Well,
have
you
that
hang
know
on,
ability.
that the Bible is
Refugio,
not
It could
who
have
necessarily
been
wrote
written
it?
by anybody.
Well, I'm not
James,
saying that I
Okay,
you
know,
said
but
the Bible is not necessarily true. Now, how do you know that?
sure. Based on the stories, do not comport with external reality.
Okay, that's another. See, this is another maneuver that atheists do. They make an appeal to a vague generalization. Now, is external reality intelligible to you to use as a reference point against the Bible?
What do you? Okay, I'm going to say yes, and I don't
Okay,
understand what you
now,
mean by what. What? Hang
now,
on, can I ask you a question? What
sure.
do you mean by the external reality having intelligence? What does that mean?
I said intelligibility.
Okay, so what does that mean if external reality has?
In order to use a proposition as a mitigator against another proposition, in this case, the second proposition that you're mitigating against is the biblical worldview. What you're saying is that the biblical worldview, as detailed from Genesis to Revelation, does not conform and cohere to reality. Now,
Yes, I would agree with that. It does not
I'm going to
conform.
ask you. I'm going to ask you very simple questions that don't require um, dissertation responses. Okay. Now, is when you use the word reality that the biblical worldview doesn't comport to reality. Does reality refer to the set of all real things?
what do you mean by that, Darth? Do you mind explaining the question?
No, I'll speak to James.
Sure, I would like
Is
to understand. Can
reality the
you
set of all real things or a subset?
as far as the way I view it, it would be all real things comport with reality. It doesn't. It seems
Okay.
like I'm not understanding your question completely. Reality is the real things that uh,
Okay.
you
Now,
can
reality,
see.
when
I don't know
one
what you're
word to
getting at.
use, James, when
Yeah,
one uses the word reality,
yeah.
it will either refer to the totality of all things, the set of all real things, or a subset.
I
Which
would
are
say
you
it's
using?
it's a set of all real things.
Okay. Now, in the set of all real things that you refer to as intelligible, okay,
Hang
is
on.
is,
Wait. Where did I say intelligible? Just,
is reality, as you are invoking it, an intelligible concept?
when you say reality is an intelligible concept, what do you mean by that? I don't. To
It
me,
means
hang
that
on.
you can
Really?
articulate what it is and what it means.
So the intelligence comes from me, not
Intel.
reality.
Okay, listen carefully.
What?
When you invoke whatever you think is reality is it intelligible?
Right. You can
I'm the
articulate it,
intelligence.
right?
The hang on.
Okay,
Hang on.
James,
Can I?
stop.
Why are you over
I
talking me?
didn't
Why are you over
say
talking me?
I didn't
I'm trying to give
say
my.
James. I
Holy
didn't
shit.
say intelligence. I said intelligibility.
So when you say reality is intelligibility, what do you mean by that?
I said, is reality intelligible to you that you can articulate what it is and what it means?
I can articulate yes what reality
Okay.
is.
Now, is reality two or more things?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Okay. What is it that concretely unifies the two or more things? Is there any
I don't.
unity? Is there any unity or categoryness amongst the two or more things that exist?
I don't understand what you mean by unity of two or more things.
When you invoke reality to mitigate against the biblical worldview, that the biblical worldview is inconsistent with reality, you're telling me that reality are two or more or a plurality of concrete things. Now, is there anything that unifies any of the two or more things that exist so that you can speak of them intelligibly?
I don't think there needs to be something that unifies two or more things.
Okay, here's the problem then.
Okay.
If there's no need for unity among the diversity of things, then you can't talk about dogs, cats, trees, atoms, electrons, because these are terms of categoryness and unification among the diversity of things. So, do you reject that in what you refer to reality as the set of all real things? Do you accept or reject that there is any categoryness or unity among the diversity of things?
Can you rephrase that? I'm not understanding your question.
When you use reality to mitigate against the biblical worldview, in order for you to represent the intelligibility of reality, there's going to have to be various levels of either unity or categoryness in order to invoke certain things. Otherwise, you're going to have to mention each.
You cut out.
So, is there any unity or categoryness of the plurality of things in reality?
I don't see any unity in the categoryness of
All right.
reality. I'm not
Okay. Do you
understanding.
understand that if you talk about dogs or cats, that is
Okay.
unity among diversity? Do you understand that?
No, I don't. Dogs and
Okay.
cats are
Okay.
two
Yeah.
James,
different.
it's a
Yeah.
generalization.
Yeah. Yeah. James, I'm really breaking this down so a fifth grader can understand this. I want to know if nothing unifies all of the particulars, there's nothing that imposes various levels of unity or categoryness among all the particulars that you call reality, right? Then you can't speak of reality because that term itself is a unifying of the particulars. Did you or did you not say that there is nothing that unifies the particulars?
No, I did not.
Is there something that unifies concretely the particulars?
See, here's where I have a misunderstanding. I don't understand what you mean by something
Is
concrete.
reality a term that collectivizes into a set,
Yeah,
all
reality
real
is what it
things?
is.
Okay,
Yeah.
is
Okay.
reality good? Now, reality is an abstract set of
Why?
concrete particulars because that's the nature of reality, because reality is not referring to one single concrete object, but a plurality of concrete objects. Okay? Now,
Why is it abstract though? I
let
don't
me
get that.
because that there are certain words in human language that are known as abstractions. You cannot show the one word as being a concrete one thing. It's one thing in your mind because it's an abstract one, but not a concrete one. Now, you believe that the set of all real concrete things is inconsistent and mitigates against the biblical worldview. You said all of the set of all real things is intelligible. Now, in order for there to be intelligibility amongst the particulars, then the question is there any unity of any kind? Either there is or isn't. Which is it?
I'm not understanding you at all.
Okay. Does the word reality unify all the concrete particulars?
I would say possibly yes. I wouldn't give it
Okay.
100% identify as
Now,
every. I mean,
reality is an abstract term.
I would disagree. I
Okay,
would think
you're
if
not,
something
okay, listen,
if something
you're
is
not,
not
listen, let me explain this to you.
no.
You
Oh,
don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm going to
sure, fine.
explain
You
it
can
to you.
say that.
I'm going
Sure.
to
Can I
explain
can
it
I
to you.
explain myself though?
There
Can I
are
explain myself?
certain terms in language that are not concrete as opposed to abstract. The abstraction doesn't mean that you're invoking fiction, but the abstraction unifies something of concrete particulars. Now,
Incorrect.
explain to me. See, I'm gonna go down a different line of reasoning because you're not capable of understanding this line of questioning. Now, how does reality contradict the biblical worldview?
The stories do not comport with external reality. That's how they
That
contradict.
you're making the same claim again. How does any account in the Bible in the past, how does it contradict anything else?
How does it contradict? What are you asking? Anything else? What else
You
there
said
would?
something in reality contradicts biblical accounts. What specifically and concretely within reality contradicts any biblical account?
Can you reword that a little bit better?
What in reality
I doubt it.
contradicts anything in the Bible?
We don't take
There,
This
mythology
is getting so
seriously.
convoluted.
there's many things in
James,
reality that contradict
James,
the Bible.
does miracles and phenomenons happen nowadays?
No.
Okay. Okay, James,
Wow.
Well,
now
first I'd
listen
ask
to
you
me.
what. Hang on,
James,
hang on.
can you
No,
answer
Darth.
my
I did
question?
answer your question. I did answer
You
your
see,
question.
you should not be up on stage here. You do not have an ability to
Oh,
focus.
I am
Now,
focused.
what in reality contradicts any biblical account?
Sorry, mate. Are we supposed to take this question
Okay,
seriously?
would the moderators please shut up everyone else except for James? James, I
No,
await
because
your
it's getting
answer.
boring. You're going back and
Okay,
forth and you're
would
not
we
moving
stop
Yeah,
forward.
the
this is getting
trolls,
pretty boring, Darth.
moderators, please? This is
It's
what the
boring.
trolls
6 minutes
do.
of you
When I
ranting.
have somebody cornered by their own words, then the
So
trolls come in to try to be disruptive.
Then redirect.
Please,
reality,
would the moderators please
reality,
mute the hecklers?
reality can be observed and verified and repeated.
Okay,
Things in the
James,
Bible cannot.
I
Things in
want
the
to
Bible.
know what
I just answered you.
specifically, I want to know what specifically in reality contradicts any biblical account.
Sure,
Tell me.
sure. You end a human life and bury this human body for 3 days plus. You cannot resuscitate that human body back to life.
Okay, and on what basis do you say that it is impossible for there to be a resurrection?
You
Why is
end
that
a human.
impossible?
You end a
Virgin
human life.
birth.
You take someone's life, whether they have a terrible accident or you want to use a human for an experiment. You end their
Okay,
life. They're Can I finish?
yeah.
You end their life. They're dead. You bury them in the
Mm-hmm.
earth for 3 or more days. You cannot bring them back to life.
Okay, well, that's not what the biblical account stated.
And that's what I'm telling you.
The biblical account does not stipulate,
In
the biblical
reality,
account does not stipulate
yeah.
that it is a common thing for people to rise from the dead. What
Darth,
you are
that doesn't
saying
make
is
any
you are
sense to
making
me.
a false line of
That's
reasoning. Now,
that's a
let me ask you
fictional
this question.
story of the Bible.
Okay,
That's a
listen.
fictional story. You asked me
So you
about
claim.
reality. I
You
gave
know
you
what? You know
reality.
what's really sad? Do you know what's really sad? I
Huh?
Virgin
really do
birth.
try to have an adult interaction, and
Yeah,
inevitably
of course.
breaks down into teenage bickering like this, James. Now, when you say
Because
dead body, listen to me. Is the
I gave you
biblical
reality.
account of
Do you accept it or not? Darth,
the
Darth,
resurrection
you
of
lost
Jesus
focus. Darth, you
Christ?
lost focus. You lost focus.
Okay, I would like to ask Johnny and John,
You asked me about
why
reality.
cannot
I
you
gave you
moderate,
reality.
please, this nonstop interrupting?
But hang on. Did Darth ask me about reality, and did I give
Okay.
him reality?
Okay, I'm
Yes, I
attempting to
did.
respond to you,
Are
all
you
right?
talking about James, Darth?
Yeah, I'm talking about James. Every time I try to interact with him, he interrupts. Now, James,
Yeah,
okay?
he is right. He is right, James. If you could conduct an adult conversation, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, James, the fact that you or other
I
people
think he
do
left.
not okay, well, yeah, it's sad.
James, come back.
James doesn't have the intellectual wherewithal to carry on these adult conversations. He
Oh, he's
either
back. He's
doesn't.
back.
Okay, all right.
I
So
haven't
James,
quit.
James,
the
Liz,
fact that people
you
listen to me.
resurrected James.
Okay, so yeah,
yeah, you can call it
moderators,
that.
I'll
Whatever.
ask you again. Would you please remove the hecklers? Right
So may I ask?
now,
May I say
James.
something without being interrupted? I want to say something. Darth
Do
asked
you
me specific.
believe? Do you
No, hang on.
believe?
I'm
Do
talking.
you
Can I talk?
believe,
Oh,
James? I'm going to ask you a question, and we're going to test your reasoning if you're consistent or arbitrary.
I want to focus
You
back on the
said
first question you asked me.
Jesus Christ did not rise again from the dead because we don't observe people rising again from the dead today. Is that your position?
Yes, my answer to your question
Okay. All
about
right,
what?
James.
Hang on.
Do
Are
you
you?
believe? Do you believe
Oh,
that
what?
life do you believe that
Later.
life
Fuck off.
originated
Fuck off.
yeah, see this is pointless.
I
uh,
think he rage quit.
yeah, James, I'm sorry to say this, that he
Yes.
both deploys trolling tactics and he is intellectually inept to carry on an adult conversation. Now
So why would you focus having the conversation on him
I
if you
can
think he's intellectually
guarantee
inept, eh?
you I can guarantee you
This
that
loudmouth Willie.
James believes that life arose undesigned. But we do not see life arising and developing, okay, on a grand scale undesigned. So, since we don't observe that today, therefore he shouldn't believe in abiogenesis, okay, and macroevolution because it's not observed. Yet he believes it. Now, unfortunately for James, the fact that we do not see dead bodies rising again from the dead as a regular thing, or even in terms of a rarity, that itself does not mitigate logically or rationally that Jesus Christ didn't rise again from the dead. Because the resurrection of Jesus Christ is not stipulated to simply be an ordinary, naturalistic, materialistic, mechanistic event. So when James appeals that dead bodies don't rise from the dead in our common experience, right? This is a fallacy, okay, that he uses against the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I agree. We don't commonly see people rising from the dead. But it doesn't follow from that an instance in the past did not happen. Okay? So James fails again.
Yeah, they're trying to use a naturalistic approach to examine the Bible. It's almost similar for one to say, well, I don't believe Jesus walked on water because it's not natural for a man to walk on water. That's their mentality. I don't think they can really get past that.
Yeah, what they're saying is because they have a materialistic. Well, let me change that. The reason why reality, as they see it, cannot be used to mitigate or as a contradiction to the biblical record, right, is because they do not know, nor can they defend what it is that is fundamental and foundational to all states of affairs that dictates what is, can be, and cannot be. Since they cannot identify what it is that is absolute, ultimate, or fundamental, which dictates what is, can be, and cannot be, then an appeal to reality cannot be used as a contradiction to the biblical record. It's that simple. So
I
Hey,
have.
Darth,
anytime
did you say he believes in biogenesis?
James, in all likelihood, probably, even though he's not very smart, probably believes in abiogenesis and its sister dogma,
Wow.
Darwin's theory of evolution. But we neither see abiogenesis or macroevolution taking place in our uniform experience. So using his reasoning, he would have to abandon his belief in abiogenesis and Darwinian evolution. But they don't
Right.
care about being inconsistent. So the bottom line is nobody can appeal to reality as an abstract set of concrete particulars and use it in whole or in part to mitigate against the biblical account, because in order to do so, they would have to tell us what it is that is absolute, foundational, and fundamental, dictating what is, can be, or cannot be, either on a grand or a small scale. Now, if they did do that, they could then attempt to use, either on a grand or a small scale, that as a mitigator against the biblical worldview, either in part or whole. But they cannot tell us. Now, is there any unbeliever in here who does not believe the biblical worldview?
I do
Who
not
can
believe in
tell
God,
me, okay,
or in God of the Bible at least.
yeah. By the way, I have a question for you. I'm looking at your profile. Why
What do you think?
why are you at Darth Dawkins? Why are you copying my name?
What? It says Old Man River right there. It should say right there.
No, on your profile it says at Darth Dawkins.
Weird. That shouldn't.
Yeah, why are you lying?
I'm not lying. Why are you calling me a liar?
Okay, all right, so you're going to play that game? Okay, we're done. I'll move on to somebody else. Okay, once
He's
somebody
lying
lies to
because he
me,
doesn't believe in God.
I don't believe in
once
God of the
somebody
Bible.
lies to me, once somebody lies to me, you just outright lie to me that's not on your profile when everyone else sees it. Okay, we're done because you're a liar. So we'll move
Yeah,
on.
let
Now,
me
is there
talk about
any
that for a second.
unbeliever?
No,
Is there any
what?
unbeliever? Let me finish. Is there any unbeliever in here who does not accept the biblical worldview or the Christian worldview, who can tell me, identify, and defend what it is that dictates any instance of what is, can be, and cannot be? Anyone?
Yeah, hold on, Darth. I want to address old man there for a second. He said that on your profile, it shows that it's at Darth Dawkins, and you're saying that's not the case. Clearly, you are lying. Why are you doing that?
Okay, remove him from the stage. We should not tolerate people lying. Okay.
Sure.
What is the point? You see,
No,
when
I
people are
want to
going to
know
come up
what
here and
God he
talk with other
believes in.
human beings,
Yeah,
if
I'll
we're
send
going
him
to
down.
if we're going to talk to one another, we have a basic human expectation that we will be truthful to one another. Okay? If somebody is going to so obviously lie, then there's no point in talking with them about anything else. Now, I'll repeat the question again. Is there any unbeliever here who objects to the biblical or Christian worldview who can tell me what it is that is fundamental, foundational, or absolute that dictates any or all instances of what is, can be, or cannot be?
That's an intimidating question. There are people who don't believe in the biblical narrative. I believe they're just afraid to unmute.
Okay, do we have any unbelievers
Hey,
I
who
know
can answer that
Darth.
question?
Haiti and Mo.
I have a question. I believe in God. I believe God is the creator,
Okay, can
the
you hold, please?
instantiator.
Can you hold that, please?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Now, is there any unbeliever in here who does not accept the Christian worldview?
Oh, okay.
I guess me,
And who is that?
Michael. I'm Jewish.
Okay, okay. Michael, do you hold to a Unitarian concept of God?
I hold by strict monotheism. If that
Okay,
is a Unitarian notion of God, then yes.
okay. Does your God have all great-making properties?
All what?
Does your God possess all great-making properties?
Great making. I guess yes.
Okay. Does he possess personhood to its fullest, logically prior to creation?
The God of the Jews, of the five books of Moses, is very clearly and overtly not a person.
Oh, so he's not an agent? He doesn't have a mind, a will, or an intellect?
Not a person. Not a
So
human.
the God of the Old Testament clearly is depicted as being a personal rather than an impersonal entity.
Okay.
Exodus
Okay.
20 says he's a man of war.
Have you
You're
ever read
smoking.
Numbers 23:19?
And what about it?
Why
What
is he
does it
calling
say?
him a man?
Yeah, why don't you quote that to me, please? Instead of
Okay,
beating around the bush.
Numbers 23:19. This is the quote I have from Safaria from JPS
Really?
2006. God is not human to be capricious, or mortal to have a change of heart. Would God
Okay,
speak and not act,
sir,
promise and not
did you
fulfill?
hear me mention the word mortal or human? I said personal. He
And I said
possesses
that
the
God is not
attributes.
a person.
Yeah, you know what? This is so sad. You need to focus, okay? Personhood means that an entity in question possesses the characteristic or attributes of agency, a mind, and a will. Does
God has a
God in the
mind and a
Bible?
will.
Good, then he qualifies in terms of a person.
If you
Okay?
would like to define him that way, I would not.
That's generally, yeah. Well, okay. So you're splitting hairs here. Okay.
Okay.
Now, does your God, is he maximally personal?
Maximally personal.
Yeah.
I'm not
Does
sure
he have
exactly what you mean
all
by that.
great? Yeah. Does he
There's
possess
not
the
a spectrum of
characteristics of
person.
personhood? Oh, shut up. Does God possess the characteristics of personhood to its fullest without lack?
God possesses will and mind without lack.
I didn't ask you that,
That was how you defined personhood.
sir. Yeah. Well, that was a brief introduction. Is your God relational in terms of his personhood logically prior to creation?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
You don't know what relationality means?
I don't know what you
It
mean
means
by
the
was God
capacity,
relational before sin or before creation.
it means possessing the capacity and the actualizing of relating to other persons.
What's all that background noise? The
Yeah, it was
hell?
Johnny. I muted him.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
Mike, you lied. You lied on the Numbers 23. It says not a man that he should lie.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I said.
God's not
God
a
is not
man.
human to be capricious.
No, it's the word is man.
The
Not a
word
man
is
that is a
Yeah. The bottom
liar.
line here, is your God, does he possess the characteristic of love to its fullest, logically prior to creation?
Yes. Does he have emotions?
I didn't ask that. Please don't interrupt. I'm trying to show you by this question while you're thinking
well,
that the
I'm not.
Unitarian conceptualization of God fails upon a careful analysis. Does your God possess the characteristic of love to its fullest, logically prior to creation?
I am not sure what you're asking me, but I would say this. I would say simply, I would not
It's a
attribute
simple
any.
question. Can your
Okay,
God actualize
Why is there over
love
talking?
it's not a simple question because I don't
after
understand it.
logically prior to creation?
But I think I can give you enough information that you would know what my answer is. I
You know
would not
what?
attribute
I'm going to
any
go run an errand.
emotions to
I'm
God.
so tired. I am
What?
so tired that when I
Yeah,
ask
clearly you're
people
very impatient.
direct
And
questions,
you have
when I
never
ask
run before.
questions, hey, with the
It's
moderators,
awful, Darth.
you know,
You're just like a
moderators,
victim.
I got a
Everyone's so
hint for
cruel
you,
to you.
John and Johnny. When you have a multiplicity of people up
I ain't
on the
gonna lie.
stage,
Darth
then
is a
what they do is
narcissist.
they heckle and they overtalk, just like you hear. So you shouldn't have a multiplicity of people on stage because then they'll heckle, and then you
Because one is
guys
better
don't
than
do
three.
anything about it as usual.
Yeah, I'm. Oh, did he say he's leaving?
Probably. Yeah, I think he rage quit.
Okay. I mean, I tried to send people down who interrupted. There's only a couple, and they were dealt with. But in any case.
John, don't spend your life trying to appease Darth. That's a fool's errand.